After decades of broken politics in Washington, 8 years of failed policies from George W. Bush, 21 months of a campaign that's taken us from the rocky coast of Maine to the sunshine of California, we are 4 days away from bringing change to America. 4 days. In 4 days, you can turn the page on policies that have put greed and irresponsibility on Wall Street before the hard work and sacrifice of folks on Main Street. In 4 days, you can choose policies that invest in our middle class, create new jobs, and grow this economy so that everybody has a chance to succeed. From the CEO to the secretary, from the factory owner to the men and women on the factory floor. In 4 days, you can put an end to the politics that would divide a nation just to win an election, that tries to pit region against region, city against town, Republican against Democrat, that asks us to fear the time when we need to hope. In 4 days, at this defining moment in history, you can give this country the change we need, Iowa. Yes, we can. Think about the journey that we've made. We began in the depths of winter, nearly 2 years ago, on the steps of the old state capitol in Springfield, Illinois. And our first stop was Cedar Rapids. Then we came to Des Moines. Then we went to Waterloo. It was cold at every stop. It was 7, 8 degrees that day. So we started the campaign right here. And as I said back then, we didn't have much money and we didn't have many endorsements. We weren't given much of a chance by the polls or the pundits. We knew how steep our climb would be. But I knew this. I knew that the size of our challenges had outgrown the smallness of our politics. I was convinced that Democrats, Republicans, Americans of every political stripe, they were hungry for new ideas and new leadership and a new kind of politics that favored common sense over ideology, that focused on the values and ideals that we have in common. And most of all, I had confidence in you, the American people. I had confidence in the people of Iowa. Because I knew that the American people are a decent people and a generous people, willing to work hard and sacrifice for future generations. And I was convinced that when we come together, our voices are more powerful than the most entrenched lobbyists, or the most vicious political attacks, or the full force of a status quo in Washington that wants to keep things just the way they are. Nowhere was that truer than here in Iowa. On the day of the Iowa caucus, my faith in the American people was vindicated. And what you started here in Iowa has swept the nation. We're seeing the same turnout. We're seeing the same people going and getting in line, volunteers, people participating, a whole new way of doing democracy started right here in Iowa, and it's all across the country now. That's how we've come so far. We can't afford the same political games. We can't afford the same tactics that pit us against each other, that make us afraid of one another. Despite what our opponents may claim, there are no real or fake parts of this country. There's no city or town that's more pro-American than anywhere else. We are one nation. All of us are proud. All of us are patriots. The men and women who served on our battlefield, some are Democrats, some are Republicans, some are independents. But they have fought together and bled together, and some died together under the same proud flag. They have not served a red America or a blue America. They served the United States of America. That's the America I want to serve. That's what we're fighting for in this election. It won't be easy, Iowa. It won't be quick. You and I know, though, it's time to come together. Some of you may be cynical. Some of you may be fed up with politics. You have every right to be. But despite all of this, I ask of you what's been asked of Americans throughout our history. I ask you to believe, not just in my ability to bring about change, but in yours. I know this change is possible because I've seen it. I saw it here in Iowa. On those weeks leading up to caucus night, I saw it on caucus night. All those lines around schools, around churches, around courthouses, all across this great state. I had the privilege of witnessing what was best in America. Young people voting for the very first time. You know, those of us who aren't so young, getting involved again after a very long time. But it's not just in the campaign. I've seen workers who'd rather cut back their hours than see their friends, their co-workers lose their jobs. I've seen neighbors who take in a stranger when the floodwaters rise. I've seen soldiers who re-enlist even after losing a limb. I've seen it in the faces of men and women who I've met in countless rallies and town halls across this country. Men and women who speak of their struggles, but also their hopes and dreams. You know, I had a rally down at Fort Lauderdale a while back, and after the rally, a woman named Robin sent me an email. Apparently after the event, her son, who was in high school, went into cardiac arrest. He was diagnosed with a heart condition that could only be treated with a procedure that cost tens of thousands of dollars. Her insurance company refused to pay. The family just didn't have that kind of money. And in her email, Robin wrote, "I only ask this of you. On the days where you feel so tired, you can't think of uttering another word to the people, think of us. When those who oppose you have you down, reach deep and fight back harder." Iowa, that's what hope is. That thing inside us that insists, despite all evidence to the contrary, that there are better days. If we're willing to work for it, if we're willing to shed our fears and doubts, if we're willing to reach deep down inside ourselves when we're tired, when we're discouraged, when times are tough, and come back and fight harder, that's what kept our parents and grandparents going when times are tough. That's what allowed them to send us to college. That's what allowed them to give us a better life. That's what allowed some who couldn't vote to say, if we march and organize, maybe our son or grandchild, someday he'll be able to run for the presidency of the United States of America. It won't be easy, but we can bring about change in America. And if all of you will stand with me and work with me one more time, if in these last 4 days you will make phone calls and knock on doors, send out emails, get on our website, BarackObama.com, find out where to vote. If you will volunteer and do what needs to be done, then everything that we've been working for 2 years now will come to an end. And we will have not only won Iowa, we will win this general election. And you and I together, we will change this country and change the world. God bless you. And God bless the United